Remember we said that feedback is very, very important in blended learning because it enables the facilitator to understand learners' perception and their understanding about the previous facilitation and make an amendment where possible. Now, for you to start, you need to have a Gmail account and you need to log into your Gmail as you have seen. Now, the moment you are on your Gmail, you will notice these 9 dots here. You click on it and that will bring down a drop-down menu where you select the form. You have to scroll down. It is usually at the bottom, or you look for it wherever it is, depending on how it is rendered in your system. Look at the form here. You click on it. It will open a Google form. Now, you have to click on the blank for you to start a new form. Look at this. You click on it and it will open the environment where you will create your form. Before we go into creating our form or creating question, let us have a quick look at some of the important menu that will help us here. You will notice these 3 options: questions, responses, and setting. You have to be in this mode. You can see that we are in the question mode. This is where you create your questions that you want your learners to fill. Now, this is where you get information about the responses. As it is now, you can see there is no response because we have not created a form and nobody has filled it. So this is where the information, and usually it is presented in a chart. You see a chart of the characteristics of the responses that is being given. Now you notice this link to sheet. This is where the responses will go in. We are not going to see anything there because nothing has happened. But by the time we finish learning how to create this, I'm going to show us quickly an already filled form so that you will see how this thing looks like when users have or learners have sent their responses. Again, notice this important aspect where you accepting responses. Now, when you turn this, you can turn this on and off. Look at it now. After I click on it, it's off, and I click on it, it is on. You can fill your form. You can create your form before time, and now set it not to start accepting responses until the time you want that to start. You can now turn it on. So this is where you determine that. Now, this is setting. This is where you set how your form will begin. Assuming the form you are creating, you want to make it a quiz, you have to turn this thing on by clicking on it. You can see it on and off, and you can do the settings that connects to quiz setting. Now, but that is not what we are doing. We are not trying to create a quiz. Now, this is again, let us look at the second one where you manage your responses. This is where you do some settings. Assuming you want, one of the things you will do here is whether to determine whether if you are going to collect the responders' email, such that maybe you want to contact them in the future, or you want to send their responses to their email. This is where you do that. So you can collect if you want to collect their email, you click here and set, and select that. Here it is. I don't need to collect, so it is. We'll leave it at this. Now, send responders a copy of their responses. If you turn it on, it means that immediately they finish filling their responses, if they go to their mail, they will see a copy of what they have filled. Allow response editing. If you want responses to be changed after they have been submitted, you can turn this thing on. Now, look at this important aspect. Now, you notice that sometimes after creating a form, users in trying to fill this form may do multiple submission, which you may not want, unless you want that. So this is where you can limit the responses to 1. If you click on this, it will turn it to 1. Now, the implication is that if somebody fill a form and wants to fill it again, the system will notify the person that you have filled, you're not allowed to fill again. So this is where you set that. So we'll leave it at that at the moment. So these are the basic things that you need to do, settings that you need to do here. Then let us look at this again. Look at the top. Look at these other settings here. if you click here, you can customize your theme. Let us go back to question mode. If you want to customize, change the look, you can see this, the look of this form is plain. If you want to customize it, you can click here. Let us see. If you click on here now, you can add image. Assuming you want to add image that relates to the form you are creating, you can click it here and add. You can add a style, you can add color to it, you can add image. Let me think. Let's try and choose an image. Select image. Now you may have an image you want to upload, but let us not, in that case you select from your file or from your photos, but let us just put something here. But whenever you're selecting your image, make sure that it relates to what you're doing. This looks beautiful. Let us select it. See how it goes. So this image is now uploaded. You can see the look. You are giving this form a beautiful look. Now that is about the theme. Now here on this place, you can preview the form. Maybe by the time we finish creating some question, we'll go and preview it because it is plain now. We may not, catch it. So by the time we finish filling this form, we can come and have a preview. Have a preview of what the form looks like, so that if it doesn't look good to you, you can still go back to the question mode and correct whatever the issue may be. Now you have here this arrow that is facing left for undo and do. Now we'll go to send. Here, if you click on this is where after creating your form, you can collect the link that you will send to people. We'll come back here. So let us just go back to the question and learn how to create a question. We're already in the question mode. Now on this question mode, you see title. This is where you give your form a title. We can call it evaluation form for lesson 1. Evaluation form for lesson 1. You give it your own title. Lesson 1. Good. Here you can see, you can bold it, you can underline it, you can put a link, depends on what you want. Now under it, you can give a brief description what the form is all about. This one is left for you to give a brief description, is for your student or not. Okay, this form, you can say, let me remove it from caps lock. This form helps us to serve you better. Kindly fill it. That's it. Good. Now you come to creating your question. You will now see something like this. The question, titled question. Now this is where you begin to put your questions. Let me close this so that we have a clearer view. Right. Now you have your question. You create your question. Maybe the first one may be your title or maybe your name. Now you have to choose the style of responses. If you want them to supply their name by themselves, you choose a short answer. Of course, in this one, you want them to write their name. You don't have a predefined name that you want them to select. It depends on what you want to do, but normally you want them to type their name. So you select short answer. There are other options here. Like it's either you choose is a multiple choice questions, or it is a checkbox or drop down, or file. You want them to upload. You want to upload a file here, and so on and so forth. So for this, we should choose a short answer or short paragraph. This is a longer form of answer. So for name is a very short input, so we can choose short answer. So we select this here, and the person will now fill the name. So that's it. Again, notice these signs here. You can copy, you can make a copy. Assuming I want to replicate this, I can copy it again. Look at it. It has given me another question, another option, another question, another provision for me to type my second question. If I don't want to copy it, I can just on my own choose, look at this, I can use this button to add a new question. Either I add a new question or I want to duplicate it. This is just a duplicate. That's it. Then again, I can import questions. I can import questions that I have already set instead of typing it here, one after another. This is test. I can add little add title description of this. Okay, that this title has to come here if you want to describe, your title. This is an image, assuming you want to put an image here, but that could be when you're setting a quiz. You can also use it during evaluation, assuming there's an image you want them to, you want to understand how they view it. So you can add image, you can add video. You can also section this form, assuming this form has two sections, section A and section B. This is where you are going to, do that. You can see it now. If you see now, by clicking this, now this form has been broken into section 1 and section 2. So, but let us go back again here. So you type your name here. Then this is the second one. Maybe I want them to impute their state. In this state, I may not want them to start typing because you may see different forms of typing. I may see some typographical error. Maybe in this case, I want to give them some options to select. In that case, I'm not going to use a short answer option. I'm going to use drop down. When I select it now, I'll start putting the options for the state. Enugu, Abia, you add the second option, Abia, and so on and so forth. You can also use this drop down when it comes to age, and so on and so forth. So that's it. Again, on this, there's another important thing I need you to note here. If you don't want a particular question, you can use this to delete that particular question. Like if I click on this, I can delete it. Then again, if a particular question is compulsory, that is, you need your responders to fill it, this is where you mark it. Like if I want them to give me information about their age, I can turn this on. You can see it is required. That means that after filling this form, if the person refuses to fill this, the form cannot be submitted. So this is where you set a particular form compulsory. I can come back here and do the same here because I need your name. Unless there are questions that are not compulsory, you can leave it. Then okay, so that is it about filling questions. Now that I have typed one or two things, let us go to the preview mode. Look at it. I've clicked on it. Let's see how it will look like. You can see it now. So this is how it looks. So if I don't like it, I will, I would go back and do some editing. That's it. So let us go back to our question. So we are back to our question. So this is how you create your form. You go on and on until you finish. So the moment you finish, you can now go back to your setting, as I said, and do the necessary, setting. Now that it is done, the next thing is for us to copy the link. Your form is now ready. You need to copy this link to send to your responders, the link that they will use to access this particular form. So if you click on this send, that will give you options where you can do that. Now, look at this. This is a link. This image here signifies link. If I click on it now, it will bring, this is the link to this form. This is the link, Google form link, that your responders will use to fill this form. Now, you can see it's a very long one. If I want to shorten it, I will just say shorten URL. You can see it now, and I can now copy. Once I copy it, I will now send it to them. And that's it. This is all about creating a Google form. And I believe that you've been able to learn something out of this. Now, before we end this, let us look at an already filled form. Okay, you can also put your title here. Okay, look at title here. Now I click on it. You can see this title is already here. So this form has a title. Now let me go back and look at an already a form I have already created, so that we can have a look at how the database looks like when responders fill a form. So I'll go back to my email. Let's go back. Look at it. Now I'm going to use these ones as example. You can see this is my Google Drive where I have some forms. Look at it. Let's click on this evaluation. Let me open it. Look at it. This is a form I have already created. I want to show us this the responses. This, look at it. I've clicked on the responses. Now, assuming that for this form, some people you can see there are 10 responses here. See the 10 responses. So if I want to view these responses, this is where I go to harvest it. Click on it. It's going to open an Excel sheet. Look at it. These are their responses. And this is where you can harvest or get information about what is being filled. Remember, you can download it, you can print it. It depends on what you want to do with it. So let us go back again. Now I told you about the statistics. You can see the behavior of this form, the insight about this form. You can see it. So Google Form is beautiful. So it helps you do some of these things. It gives you information about the characteristics of some of the responses that the responders have given. So you can see it. So with this, I can say that we've been able to learn how to use a Google Form to create evaluation form. Thank you very much.